This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yeah! Yes! She is gone! I can't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to this week's show. We're a little light this week, but not on content, I don't think. We're going to try our best like we always do. So welcome back. With me tonight, we only have one of us. Unfortunately, the other one couldn't be there, but I'll get to the occasional guest host here in a second. Occasional frequent guest host, permanent guest host. I don't know what the hell to call you anymore. We've got you under contract, so we've got to keep bringing you back. We're about to send you through the waiver wire here pretty soon, but we'll get to that in a second. So I want to remind everybody, this show is brought to you by the Wiley Group and Fifth Street Motors. A lot of people say that about 40 games into the season, about a quarter of the way into the season, we pretty much kind of know where things are going, and teams really start making decisions at that point. We're just about there. We're a few games away, but by the time we were re-recording next week, we'd be over the mark. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. With me tonight is my occasional guest, frequent, under contract co-host. We have to keep bringing back here week after week. It's Elliot Dewey. Elliot, man, what is up?
What is happening? We are almost there, and I feel like things are shaking out maybe the way that we thought they were. I feel like the Cardinals are maybe in the position that you were hoping they were, not where you thought they would be. So, but we will get into that. And yes, I'm occasionally here, so today is an occasion.
Today is a great occasion, and I'm glad you're here because I don't think I'd want to do one of these solo. Holy shit, what's happening here? I don't think I want to do one of these solo things. I'm not very good at it, but I gave it a shot. So, yes, the Cardinals have been on what you would call a streak. There's no other way to really describe it. So they've played extremely well. They've won 5 out of their last 6. They just took a series against Milwaukee, so they've split with them on the year so far, 3-3. But really, look, some of their competition has been soft over the last several weeks. Sweep of the Pirates, a sweep of the Rockies. But look, this is what you're supposed to do with teams like that, right? I mean, right. Every team that's finished a year with over, I'm not saying they're going to finish with 100 wins. I'm not saying that at all. But these teams that rack up 95-plus wins and win divisions, that's what they do. And they will run up the score on some of the teams that are bottom of the division. They're sub-500 teams. That's what you're supposed to do. So I don't care if their competition was weak or not. That's called taking care of business, and it's just what it is. Their first true test, I think, for a while started with this Milwaukee series, which they've come out on top of that one. Now, we'll get into the Padres series here later on because they've got some guys down right now. It's kind of funny timing. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, because you kind of take a look at the Cubs when they have played Pittsburgh. I believe they played them 6 times already, and they got swept. No, they played them 7 times. I think they lost their first 4 games to the Pirates, and then actually took 2 out of 3 in this last series, and somehow swept the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this team's kind of, they're kind of at where we thought they were at, but they're getting wins where I didn't think they would get wins, and they're getting losses where I didn't think that they should be getting losses. Yeah. So if they were getting those wins where they should be, they'd actually be in a better position than they are now. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, this is where we're at. And so the Cardinals were set to take on the Padres starting tomorrow in San Diego. And those Padres are going to be without a few key players, which is pretty unbelievable when you think about it. So I don't know what the latest word on this is, but I know that the big name obviously is Fernando Tatis Jr. Has tested positive, so he's not going to be available for the series. Not who knows how long. I don't know. I guess I haven't followed it enough, but I'm rather surprised, Elliot, that most of these guys aren't already just vaccinated yet.
Yeah, there has been a lot of talk around that some of these guys just don't want to do it for some reason or another, whether it's they're believing in this stuff that maybe they shouldn't be, or they just don't want to do it. You figured as a team you would want to be vaccinated, so there was no way that you could cause harm to your team unintentionally, because that's kind of what has happened. I mean, when we take a look at the Yankees right now, I believe they have 8 guys down, 8 starters. Gleyber Torres being the most recent guy to test positive for COVID. I mean, you can wreck a season because these guys will be out for 2 weeks and have to replace with minor leaguers. I mean, I don't know how much patience MLB is going to have this year for postponing and trying to make up that many games like they did last year. I mean, last year we had half a season. Yeah. They're trying to play 162 this year. That's going to be a lot tougher to do.
It feels weird. You know, if we were 40 games into 2020, we're 2/3 of the way done with the year, right? So thank God it's back and we have a full schedule, and it kind of just reminds you that how long this season really is.
Oh, it's long. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's funny because at times last year you had to remind yourself 20 games in that, damn, it's already 1/3 of the way over. Because you're just used to so much baseball being ahead of you, and you rarely heard, well, it's early. Because there was no early last year. It was like...
No, last year was a sprint. Yeah. Now they're back to the marathon. Now they're back to, hey, we're not even to June yet. There's time. Let's turn this around. We've still got 75 days until the deadline, or until we feel like there's going to be some decisions being made. But that this sort of thing can really derail a season, especially for a team like San Diego, where their division is going to be tough because they are in that division with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. It's Will Myers and Fernando Tatis Jr., 2 of their stars, 2 of their everyday players, out of the lineup, and
that's good for you guys, because if you can sneak in a few more wins, that's a few more wins that you feel like maybe weren't going to be there at the end of the year in that total.
I understand there could I don't know the reasons why those guys aren't vaccinated. They may have a really good medical reason or something why they can't. I know there's players in the league that opted out last year because they had they had underlying health risks and had to. Right. And the Cardinals had a player in Jordan Hicks who's diabetic and stayed away from it all, and for the right reasons. Plus, he was recovering from Tommy John anyway. Like there was no incentive for him to really play last year, or to be with the club and put himself at risk. And I'm sure others fall into that category too. And I don't know what these 2 reasons are, but I remember reading on Twitter, and I still read it to this day, about, you're a sheep if you went and got the vaccination. And it probably comes from the same type of mindset that I read somebody state that, the living have faith in masks, the living have faith in Christ, not masks. And to that I replied, well, good. Well, then you just go ahead and take off that seatbelt and everything else, because what's the difference, man? So I don't know. It's reasons like that just like what. I
don't know if you've been
watching. What decade are we living in here?
There's this comedian on YouTube where he's the IKEA the IKEA
Oh yeah,
sales
yeah.
guy.
No, I posted that, but you had a whole series of them. I love that.
Yes. Well, I got one sent to me today about him saying, "Oh, you don't want to take the vaccine?" And then his music starts.
Oh.
Then die. So he's like,
Yeah.
You're not getting microchipped. You're not getting better 5G.
I don't. Whatever, man. I don't.
Yeah.
It's a personal choice, and but the thing is, like some of these things, that's why they never go away, is because of non-vaccinators, right? That's why we still have diseases that you haven't heard about since the 1960s that pop up every so often, in a pocket of Ohio or something, because people don't do it, for whatever reasons. It causes problems. Whatever, the internet will trick you all day long if you let it.
But hey, when one of those kids gets in, hey, let's have a party and get them all sick at the same time, and then 15 kids die in one town because people are stupid.
All right, so the Cardinals are getting set to take on the San Diego Super Spreaders, and so that series starts tomorrow. It's not going to take any of the interest away. The Padres are still a good team without those guys. But just looking at the standings, they're a game ahead of the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are looking very human right now. Can't quite put your finger on it because it's a West Coast team and it's 3 hours behind me. I rarely catch a Dodgers game, but I did catch a little bit of the Dodgers-Padres series, which was everything that you would have expected. It was highly competitive.
Right. You should be able to catch those games as long as they're not playing in one of the 6 markets that you live next to.
Yeah, as long as they're not playing anybody that, sure. Yeah, as long as they're not playing with like an 8-hour radius north, west,
right.
It's fine. But yeah, it was a little surprising to look at the standings and see the Giants. I don't know about the Giants, man. Are the Giants really this good?
I don't know.
Like, where did this come from? This is a typical Giant shit where they would remember they would take a year off, like they were great in 2010, sucked in 2011, came back and won it in 2012. That every other year, even
years. They won in the even years. They sucked in the. Are
they pivoting on that? Are they going odd years? Is this the start of it? But I look at the standings. I'm like, no, they can't have their best record in baseball. It's the Giants. Who the hell is even on that team?
Right.
Are they for real or not?
Well, when I said the same thing, I'm like, is Buster Posey still playing for them? Because some will declare
he's still the best catcher in the game.
Yeah, but he's been super quiet. And again, this comes back to MLB not marketing some of their best players out there.
Yeah, exactly right. And speaking of marketing players, by the way, so if I have to pick how the next series is going to go for the Cardinals, I'm going to probably have to favor them 2 games out of 3 because they're missing a couple key bats in that lineup. And so I think the scale is kind of tipping their favor. I was looking forward to the series, though. I do want to see the Padres at full strength when the Cardinals play them because I want to see them get tested.
Exactly. And it gives you more of an understanding. And if we
make it to the end,
if
we do make it to the end, do we hold up against guys like this, right? And so that's what you want to find out, and it's great to find that out early in the year, but we truly won't know because if they end up facing them in October, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. I know shit can go south real quick. But if they end up facing them in October, you're facing a different team. And once you take Fernando Tatis Jr. and Will Myers out of the middle of the line, I'm not saying Will Myers is an all-star or anything, but you take 2 guys like that out of the middle of the order, you're looking at a different team when they're back. And your whole game plan is different when they're back. And so, I'm a little disappointed, but I'll take the wins.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's like playing a Cubs team without Rizzo and Bryant almost. I mean, one of them is like in their form now. One of them is a great solid batter. The other one is just on fire right now. And I would have to put Tatis in there as like that dude can hit. Yeah. And he is good. He's great on the bases. He's got great defense.
He's got 5 tools. I mean, he's got, great arm, fast, good glove, can hit for power. I mean, it's everything you want in a player, and he's exciting. Yeah. He's young, and you've got him locked up long term. I mean, so it's we'll see how all of it goes. Of course, he has to live up to it now. But I mean, looking at the energy he brings to the game, I don't know why he's not going to.
No, absolutely.
I can't believe I'm saying that about a Padre, but I am. It's stressful. It's stressful to say that about the Padres to give them credit. You know what else is stressful?
What's
buying
stressful?
a goddamn car. That's stressful.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be stressful. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you find the vehicle you need no matter what brand. Fifth Street Motors believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Don a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Gateway City Sports sent you. They're located in Pacific, Missouri. Popular spot. Elliot's been there many times.
I go there.
Yeah.
I go there. Absolutely. So, kind of wanted to talk to about this MLB grievance that we saw that came across. Get your thoughts on this. You know, the MLBPA said that the MLB, you know, they didn't try last year. They did not try to get in as many games. And, you know, we talked about this last year that we kind of felt like they were kind of dragging their feet a little bit on this. And obviously the MLB Players Association feels the same way.
Yeah.
But do the Players Association have a grievance with everything that happened last year at this time? Because we saw a lot of difficult things going on last year at this time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I remember thinking at this point last year, like we were kind of like, you know, the understanding was this, like they knew they weren't going to be able to have fans in the stands, and they had no real line of sight if they were going to within the year or not. And so they're looking at it going, well, you know, if you're assessing risk, you're saying we're not going to have fans in the seats at all. We're not going to be able to this entire year. And without that ballpark revenue coming in, and we all know it's different for all kinds of different teams, Elliot. Not every team has the same TV contracts. They're all in different markets. But once you take, I mean, for a team like St. Louis, who relies heavily on ticket revenue, and money spent at the ballpark and all the other businesses that the organization
especially
owns.
for those small market teams, that's
a big
kind of
deal.
their livelihood too.
It is. It's a big deal for them. And as much as you know, look, I give shit to both sides. I treat them both with skepticism. Yeah. The players' union is not always right. They've shot themselves in the foot. They're, you know, they've, you know, they didn't do themselves very good on the last CBA.
The last one, and now they hate it.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's their fault. And so, I don't. To answer your question, due to all the circumstances and the unknowns, like I don't know how the players' union is going to. Look, I understand why it's filed. Right. I understand that they're going to spend resources doing that. I don't feel like it's going to go anywhere, Elliot, because the conditions were so extreme. I don't. Yeah. I'm not at all saying the owners weren't acting in their own interest, because they didn't want to pay.
We know they were.
They didn't want to pay, 80% of a salary or even 50% of a yearly salary without having ballpark revenue around. It just, look, if you're a business owner, you're probably thinking the same thing, and you're looking at it going, I can't lose this much money. It's devastating. It sets us back. You know, we'll play games, but we can't play 80 games. We can't play 120 games. We just can't afford it. You know, and so there's a business side of this that most of us aren't aware of the detail, and a diehard fan doesn't give a shit. They just want their game back. But there are real reasons why, you know, I think MLB had to drag their feet, and the ownership group had to drag their feet on it and do what they could to get something back onto the field and onto the TV screens and onto the radios.
Yeah.
So that was it.
And I think too, if they did try to get in those extra 20 games last year, I mean, we saw what happened with the 60, especially with the Miami Marlins and a few other teams, where they had to postpone. And then at the end of the year, they were scrambling to get in these other games. And they were, the only time that they could do it was a ton of doubleheaders, using the days off. And not only did it hurt them, but it hurt the other teams that they were playing, because they were using up their rest days. Mm-hmm. So imagine if even a quarter of those other games and that they had to try and squeeze those in at the end of the year. So I think that they have to look at that whole thing in totality. And if it doesn't, if they can't kind of prove that, then there's no leg to stand on.
Yeah, I agree. Sam Smith wanted to know, is this a Suck It Trebek shirt? It is. It is. Can you see it? There it is. Yes, and I used our good friend, Elle. I used her promo code and bought a couple of them.
Where can they find that at?
Gorilla Tees. I don't know. It's been a while since I bought these. It was Gorilla something. I can probably dig up the old post on it, but I don't know if that code works anymore. It was Holy L15.
Maybe,
but it works.
Things
it works.
Sometimes last a while.
Got a sweet little discount. Yeah. So I just don't see it going. It's going to make some headlines, Elliot, but ultimately I just don't know how they rule. in favor of the players union, unless they've got some kind of a compelling case, which we don't know yet. We haven't heard yet. Unless there's some case that's just overwhelming.
Yeah, and maybe this just is something that they want to get out there before they start negotiating on the new CBA.
That's why I kind of wish they wouldn't, though. That's why I wish they wouldn't, because I probably I've been pissed off at both sides equally, like I just said.
Absolutely.
And I just think it's a timing shit. Like, are they really going to risk? Thankfully, there wasn't an interruption or delay to 21. 21 still being odd that we've got limited capacity, and except in places like Texas.
Right.
Atlanta is, I think they're at full capacity now.
Yes. And then I heard St. Louis is going to open up capacity in July.
Cubs series. No, coming up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wonder why that timing's there, right? Like open it up 100%. And I still will be shocked if the seats are 100% full. I can't really see that happening. But maybe. I mean, maybe people are just so fatigued by this shit. They're like, F it. I don't care. I'll rub elbows with you next to the seat. They've opened up capacity a little bit more now to where I think it was like 32%. They've doubled it effectively. Almost like 2/3 of the stadium can be full. So I think by the Cubs series, I could be wrong, but I think I have my date right. That they're opening it back. No, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They are opening it back up to 100%. But they are. I'm sorry. I think this is the fact. I think they're doubling the capacity allowed in time for the Cubs series. So it won't be a filled stadium, but it'll almost be, I think, nearly 2/3.
Okay.
I think the little clusters of people will be 3 feet apart instead of 6. So they're effectively doubling the allowed capacity now. I think I've got that right. Somebody in the chat, correct me.
So around 65% or something like that?
Yeah, about 2/3.
Okay. It's still so Busch Stadium is what? 48,000?
Maybe 50,000? Something around there. 45, 46, 48, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And that's quite a few people.
They've got some capacity out there in the Cardinals Nation thing across the street where they got those rooftops and everything.
Yeah.
That rooftop bar, and they've got a couple bleachers set up out there. So I don't know what the capacity is out there. I don't know if it even counts as ballpark tickets, but it'll be, it's already nicer hearing real fans in the stands.
Yeah.
But I don't know what this wooing shit is around baseball. It's bad in St. Louis right now, but I've heard it on the road.
Well, you hear it in Pittsburgh a lot because you have the Boo Birds that are out there. Yeah. Because they always suck. Unless they're playing the Cubs, then they're usually winning. But
yeah, there's always that one team that you should just kick their ass all the time, and you just can't for some reason.
For some reason, it's just it's awful.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I do want to talk about one thing before I get there. The Cardinals are on a flight right now. It's out to San Diego if they're not there already. Traveling is always a risk.
So they're the weekend. They're the weekend ones, right?
Yeah, yeah. But where I was going with this was, it's risky. They're getting on a plane flying all the way out to San Diego. So how do you mitigate risk? Well, it's called insurance, folks. And the Weather Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. Speaking of insurance, they offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle, business, life insurance, investments, and much, much more. They can customize an approach unique to your situation and make you, your family, and assets make sure that they are properly protected. They offer great rates and savings. Give them a call today at 636-764-6294 to do an insurance review or just talk sports. If you don't have time to call, feel free to email Sean at SeanWiley@allstate.com. All right. Well, there's one more thing I want to get to baseball, and I want to ask you this.
Okay.
So where were you this weekend when Jim Edmonds actually had an orgasm on live TV? I just want to ask you, where were you?
Goldsmith with a home run! There it goes! Long one into left! 2-run homer, Goldie!
Who says it?
In the last part, I don't know what the hell he was saying.
Who says it?
Who says it?
I don't know what that meant, but
I'm surprised that didn't catch on. I'm surprised we didn't see T-shirts.
Hashtag who says it. I'm going to replace this one. That's right. That's right.
Goldschmidt with a home run.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's like some Ron Santo like reaction right there. I love it though. I mean, he was excited.
Well,
and he just didn't know what to say.
No, he didn't. And he's like, I imagine you get like this sometimes as a player, even when I played my playing days, amateur, but when you see a ball hit sometimes, even if you don't make that sound externally, it's happening internally. Like, holy shit, did you see how hard that guy hit that ball? That's not even real. And on TV, I mean, Goldie, I don't know if it's the longest home run of his career, but he was just like a hammer on a pistol, cocked back and ready to go. And it was just that short, compact swing. He's a big guy. And, there's just some things that are hit in the batter's box. You know where they're going. And
absolutely.
If what I wish would have happened is like you have a player like Barry Bonds in left field. And you remember how if he knew somebody got one, he wouldn't even turn around.
He'd stand there. He'd actually start walking forward a little bit and just like nothing's going on. He wouldn't even look at it. He was like somebody walking away from an explosion.
Or he wouldn't even acknowledge it. He's just still standing there. Maybe he's doing this
all.
kind of thing in his glove, just stand there, he keeps his face. He's facing directly in the infield. He's not even going to acknowledge it because he knows it's gone. And that's the only thing that was missing from that moment is the left fielder just going, fuck, I'm not even going to turn around. I know where that's going.
Right.
But yeah, it was an absolute bomb. So I can understand where Jimmy's coming from. But the only thing running through, I think, many Cardinals fans, Twitter heads this weekend was, hopefully that's not the sound he makes in his bedroom because. I
hope not.
I hope not.
Especially when he asks who says it, because I have no idea what that means.
Who says it?
Exactly.
I have no idea either. All right, man. So we haven't talked about Chicago very much, except that they can't beat Pittsburgh for whatever reason. So we got to touch on your Cubs. I mean, look, they're 17-19. They're probably about like you expected. The rumors are starting to fly around, but mostly on the media forums that we're used to that start talking about this stuff, potential destinations. Right. Chris Bryant's off to actually a pretty good start.
It's off to a great start.
When is this going to start happening? I mean, it's like inevitable, right? I mean, the Cubs are the Cubs are probably thankful he's off to a great start because look, that's how you get your value out of the guy. If he's off to a shitty start, you're not getting anything for him. Now you got a chance. Now you got a chance to actually make something happen.
I think that was the nightmare scenario was he got off to the same start that he was last year where he was hitting around 200. He wasn't hitting home runs. He was sitting out extra days because he was hurt or something like that. But he's not. I mean, he did have a couple days off because he was under the weather, but he's hitting the ball. He's playing everywhere. He's playing great defense. He's hitting the fastball, which is the thing that he wasn't doing last year. He's gone, but they've talked about this a bunch where he's taking 200 hacks a day with his dad, and he's standing a little bit taller in his stance and not crouching as much so that his I'm going to talk about the thing that you love. His bat angle is more on a plane than he is on that launch angle. So he can swing a little bit faster and make contact with that fastball pitch.
Yeah. And I love to see that too. And he was one of the more guilty players of it in the time where the whole launch angle swing was at its peak. Chris Bryant was look, it got him an MVP season. So look, you can only say so much about it, right? It worked, but Elliot, this is like when this fad is over, I will be so happy. This is like when I got out of the military and I came home to civilian life again, and it was the frosted spiky tip hair was in style.
You don't even go there.
But it was in style, along with you have to have jeans that are a little bit baggy, but a shirt that's just skin tight. And I never understood that look, and I was so happy the day it was gone. I'm going to have the same emotion on the day we start that hitters aren't swinging that way anymore, that they're swinging to make contact. And I know people hate this, right? Like, no, if it's hard hit contact at the right angle, that's what you want players to do all the time. Well, you can't do it all the time because the pitch is never in the same place all the time. If you're always trying to swing like that, everybody's smarter around the league now with analytics. They got pitching labs. They got all kinds of shit now. They're going to figure out hitters' approach league wide, and there is a trend to that. They're going to figure out a way to short fuse it or mitigate or neutralize it as much as possible. And I think that you're going to see that in baseball. And I pine for the day when we have the eyeball test and analytics have that perfect marriage where it's super valuable and teams have to do it. And if you ignore it, you're going to be behind. But I think that the teams that figure out how to blend it perfectly first are going to be the ones that are going to be out ahead.
Yeah.
And so I hope that's where it's going.
Yeah, and I think that the pitchers have figured out if they're going to face a guy who's relying heavily on that launch angle, all they really have to do is throw them the high heat, and they're not going to make contact.
Yeah.
Because it takes a little bit longer for that bat to get through the zone if they're trying to do that. And I think that's what KB learned in the offseason was I can't get my bat. I can't start soon enough if they're throwing the fastball, because if I have to start that soon and they throw me an off-speed pitch, I'm going to miss. So if he's coming through at a more of a plane, he'll have a better chance of making contact, even if it is an off-speed pitch. So
Sam Smith in the chat says Edmonds can be so annoying. So
Goldschmidt with a home run!
Who says it? Who says it? Who says it?
Beautiful.
that's just for you, buddy. I wonder if he's going to be embarrassed by that afterwards. I mean, would you go home? It's like, he probably doesn't do this because I don't do it either. I don't go back and rewatch any of our shit. I barely listen to it. I listen to it in post editing a little bit, but I never go back and want to listen to myself, especially my intros. And so I'm so happy to turn that over to Pete. He does such a better job of it. I hate it. I hate it so much. When we used to, before we got to the days that we were actually playing live music, the live intro music before we went on, I would have to put the music file in and then and then put the recording in their appropriate place. And I was forced every time. Oh, there's Sam again.
Who says it?
Every time I would have to listen to the first 30 seconds or so of myself, and it was the most dreadful thing every week. It almost caused me to quit doing this. I hate it. So much.
And now you can just skip through the beginning and not listen to yourself.
No. Here's what I do most shows. While Pete's talking, I try to figure out how to share shit on Facebook again, because it seems like it changes every month. It allows you sometimes to, your list of groups comes up and you can hit share in a row. Right. And then some weeks it's like, nope, got to do one of them at a time, a post at a time. And so I'm like, it was like that tonight. I'm like, screw it. You know what? I don't have time. I don't have my phone sewed to my hand every day to figure out how to do this shit, and I'm not going to. So
don't blame you.
Listen to the audio file. I'm about done with this live streaming crap. Everybody does it now. And
so what do you like Edmonds in the booth? Is he tolerable for you?
For me, yes. I'm going to say yes. I know he went on a little kick there where he's talking about all the texts he always got every game. I just got a text from so-and-so about this, that. And, I'm sure that was annoying to some people. None of these guys in the booth really bother me all that much. I think that my favorite, though, combination is Dan McLaughlin and Brad Thompson, former pitcher. I've talked to him a couple times on a couple of other shows I've done. He's a former player, very insightful, but very down to earth. In fact, he tells me when I've talked to him before that, the only reason he thinks he got called up was because he had some kind of like scoreless streak in Double-A, and kind of made a name for himself, got popular. It was like 20 plus innings or something like that where he went scoreless, right-handed pitcher, not an overpowering guy or anything like that either.
Oh yeah, and that's tough as a right-handed pitcher too.
And so he got his shot. He stuck up there for a couple of years. He's an effective middle reliever, and then went to Kansas City and finished off his career. But he's back in St. Louis. But his rookie year was in 2005. Imagine walking into the Cardinals clubhouse in 2005 and seeing, a locker with Larry Walker, Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds. And he always says, he's like, what the hell am I doing here? Are you kidding me? Like, look at all these names, and I'm on this team. I'm on this 25-man roster right now, or the September call or whatever. And so you can just imagine what that felt like. And so, but he is my favorite guy in the booth, I think, because he's got a great voice. He's on ESPN Radio out of St. Louis, so he's kind of developed there, and just a down to earth guy. But he's got a lot of insight to the game. So
good. I tell you what, because we've got Boog Sciambi in the booth this year, who's new for Cubs fans after losing.
How is that going anyway? Because I actually like Lynn Casper. I thought Lynn Casper was pretty good.
Lynn Casper's great, and I think he's transitioned back to TV with the White Sox. I had thought that somebody told me that, but I'm not for positive.
See, I thought he went straight to TV to take over for Hawk.
No, he went to the radio because that was like one of the big reasons why he said he went to the White Sox, because he's had the radio bug for the last couple of years, and he had an opportunity to go and stay in Chicago, so he took that radio gig over at the White Sox. But
that's amazing.
I feel like someone had told me he's back on TV now, but still with the White Sox.
I wouldn't know. I'm not tuning into White Sox games. I'm
not either. I try and catch some of the replays and stuff like that, but I really haven't paid attention enough to know what is going on.
It's just odd. You don't think of many guys that have a TV gig that's popular as it would be to have the Cubs TV gig, and you would go to radio. But I guess if that's your thing and that's what you love to do.
Right. But Boog Sciambi's been good. He's really meshed well with JD. They've kept a lot of that humor that Len and JD had. And I tell you what, I've really, and I hate myself for saying this for some reason, but I've really enjoyed them adding, oh God, I had his name. He does the Harry Carey impersonation for the Cubs. Ryan Dempster. Yeah, Dempster. So I've really enjoyed him being like that third guy, that kind of like ESPN does, where he just kind of comments and brings a little more of that, today's kind of thoughts on the game, where JD is a little more of the old school thoughts on the game. I felt like it's meshed really well. So kind of like they had Doug Glanville the year before. Doug was pretty good, but I've actually enjoyed Dempster a lot more.
Boog sucks. Pat and JD were excellent.
Pat.
He's got it wrong.
JD.
He meant Len. He meant Len. Len, Pat.
Okay. Well, no, but Pat Hughes he did come in and do a couple of games on TV.
Did he really? I didn't know he did that.
Yeah. This was the first time that Pat Hughes did TV, because I think Boog still has his agreement with ESPN, so I think he did like a Wednesday night or a Monday night baseball for ESPN, and then Pat Hughes came over. Pat Hughes is a radio voice. That dude has one of the best voices for baseball. I put him up there the same with what's his name from the Dodgers that just retired?
Vin Scully?
Vin Scully. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know who can crap. I don't know. Yeah, because he can crap. He can talk to you about what's happening.
And he's by himself.
Yeah.
Whereas Pat Hughes has always had a partner. Now with Ron Coomer, before with Ron Santo. So, but his voice is great.
Yeah, I've obviously living in Central Illinois, I heard Pat use quite a bit on there. It always pissed me off when I couldn't hear KMOX and I could hear Chicago station better than KMOX.
And the crazy thing is, we were closer to St. Louis, pretty much down in Bloomington.
Yeah, when you get to certain parts,
Chicago, and you could get 670 to the score in perfect, and WGN radio down there.
670 the score always came in clear.
Yeah.
But KMOX, I thought this is the Mighty Mox, man. Why can I not get it here? I don't know what it is. It must have been the goddamn windmills in Bloomington. Just knocking the signal all around. I don't know. Can't explain it. Not explainable.
Exactly.
I don't have much more on the baseball front except for I might have to be eating a little bit of crow here on Shohei Ohtani.
Don't do it.
I've given the baseball world a lot of shit for what I felt was really a Spice Girls type of hype, like a manufactured pop star, which is what I thought, all along of Shohei. And it's not any personal thing against him or the league he came from.
Oh, it's just the way that the media reacted to him.
It was the way that, not just the media though, Elliot. It's like when I see MLB.com is still the fucking worst. It's the worst.
Oh, you still get the updates when he hits a single.
But it's not even their coverage on him. But I'll stick with him. It looked so like a marketing group got behind a promo campaign for Shohei Ohtani with MLB.com. And it was just annoying as hell the first couple of years. And, and he hasn't made that much of an impact. Like he has not turned the Angels around. Like they put his solo picture up next to the Astros and says, does Shohei make them contenders? Like, who is Mike Trout on your team?
Exactly. And that's the
and by the way, this was like in 2019 where the Astros were, when they went 2017, it must have been 2018. And okay, you're going to put his single picture up against the entire Astros defending World Series champions before we knew they had trash cans and shit, right? But like you're really putting him there. Like this one guy is going to overcome that.
Right. Who's going to pitch once every 5 or 6 days.
And he's going to DH some. And for the first couple of years, all you're talking about is this mammoth batting practice home run. So it was annoying to me that his monster, of course. Yeah. It's home run. You talk about clickbait on just about everything that they put out on him initially. And, this year, and Joe Madden said it, your former manager said, he's, it's full go with him this year. We're going to let him do exactly what he signed to do, what he thought he was going to do when he signed here. That he's going to play, he's going to pitch, and then when he's done pitching, he's going to go out in right field. This is like watching. I mean, he's done so well, Elliot, that it's like watching that really good kid on a little league team that
plays everywhere.
He hits middle of the order, and he's a good hitter. And you'll either pull him off first base to pitch, or you'll just put him back in an outfield after he's done. This is gonna be fun. Ready?
Yep.
Hang on 1 second. Oh, this is gonna be really fun. Hey, hon, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You shouldn't have called because we got you on. This is what you don't want to do. You've never wanted to be a part of this. Elliot, when this camera's on or this mic's on, she is on a dead sprint opposite direction every time. She doesn't want anything to do with it. She doesn't want her voice heard.
Hey, below me. That's not fair. I have helped you with intros and outros.
You have. We hear you. We hear you every time the music comes on. So we appreciate that.
Oh, she's on a business trip to Cleveland right now. And
Cleveland.
Cleveland rocks.
She's probably had dinner out with colleagues and some of her customers and
grouper. I had the grouper special.
Yeah, the grouper special. Okay, so how's Cleveland?
Last night was like the Cavs played.
We don't.
So
care.
is this the wrong podcast for that sport?
Yeah, no, we're not going to do basketball here.
Oh, okay, sorry. Indians, go Indians. No, they have so many sports here. They have the Browns. I can see the Browns from my hotel
Brown
room.
Stadium.
They have the Cavs. They have the Indians. Look at all this. Cleveland has a lot to offer.
Are you trying to sell me on a potential promotion or move?
It's
not going to work.
Kind of where my mind was going. Like, is she selling?
No. Here's the thing. She's in sales, and she probably does. I don't see her or get to interact during her day job, so I don't know what her skill set is here. But if I can't judge it on how she tries to sell me because I know her too well, and I know she's full of bleep right now, and I'm not gonna buy it. Shit. Yeah,
snowed
that's
on
right.
Sunday. It snowed on Sunday. Do you think I want to live here?
No,
How much are they paying?
Mother's Day. It snowed on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
So what stadium do the Browns play in? She said she could see a stadium, and I wasn't sure if it was Progressive Field.
I sent a picture of it at some bank or something. I don't know.
Well, Progressive is still Cleveland.
Progressive is still with the Indians.
That's the Indians, right?
It's not progressive. No.
Okay.
God, you're gonna make me get out of bed.
No. You don't.
No.
Isn't it like
and all of your
JK, or
listeners,
it's like it's two initials, isn't
Energy.
First Energy. That's the Brown Stadium. Okay.
I think they just changed recently.
Are their listeners happy now that they know where the Browns play?
Well, I'm sure they're happy to know that you can see it from your hotel room. And
thank God. Anything to make the listeners of what podcast are we doing?
Which one are we doing, Elliot? We're doing Team of Rivals tonight.
Yeah. Oh, Team of Rivals! I love Team of Rivals.
We don't have Pete here. It's just me and Elliot. Pete could not make it tonight. He's got something.
Baseball game with the kid.
Well, I had one tonight too, and I got to give you an update on that. And I have my wife on here, so yes. So Elliot, 2 weeks ago, the coach I was ranting against, the coach I was ranting against, round one of the playoffs.
Get out of the coach.
I didn't beat the shit out of the coach. Round one.
The shit out of the shitty coach's team.
Okay, that's not quite true. But
can you say shit?
Yes. You've got video.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't. I could put her on video here. That phone would.
I don't have video.
The whole thing would be disconnected within like 6 seconds.
I have like eye patches under my eyes.
Oh, that'd be perfect. We should have got it. I should have just sent her the rendezvous link, right? So Elliot, the coach I was ranting against a couple weeks ago, just a complete ass. We ended up coming out on top that game because I pulled time limit card on him. And a listener yells shit. Oh, it's Sam Smith again. Wait.
Oh, says it.
Okay, so we faced him in round one of the playoffs tonight, and we pulled it out. And we won. And I tell you what,
nice.
When I'm coaching Little League on this, I seriously, and I mean this, I don't get.
Now, I want to ask first, before you get into it, did you coach a little bit harder tonight?
I did, man. I did. And I was talking to one of the other coaches in my league, who I'm facing in the championship game, and we were talking about this. I'm like, I hate what I became about the fourth inning, and I was keeping track of score, watching the time, thinking about how I changed my defensive alignment in the last two innings. So I have the kids that are really good at throwing and catching in the right spots. Right. I'm like, I hate getting like that, but when you face an asshole like this, you get pulled right down with them. You get sucked in right with them, and you become competitive. And I hate doing that because this is 7 and 8 year old baseball. It shouldn't even be that way.
These kids are supposed to be.
But I tell you what, and Sarah, I haven't talked to you about this yet, but they won the very last inning and the very last at bat.
Did Will participate?
He did. Will went one. He went 2 for 3 today.
Oh,
and he went 2 for 3, but they won in their very last at bat. We were the home team.
My biggest question is, did he have his shirt tucked in or untucked?
He would not tuck his shirt in the entire game.
God, I hate a baseball player who doesn't tuck his shirt in.
Well, then you hate your son because we can't get him to do it.
No, I mean, it'll come, right? As long as he doesn't have like the big bushy hair and facial crap going on, we're good.
Okay. Well, they won.
Well, he actually told me that he's going to do the flat brim, and then he's going to do yoga before the game,
or Pilates or something like that. But I tell you what, and this happens every so often. We get a team that starts playing well, starts clicking, and and Sarah, I know you weren't there, you were gone, but the joy on the kids' faces when that last run across the plate and the game was over, right? Because we were home team last inning.
Made it worth it?
It did. It really did. And they were happy as hell because they knew they won the game. All the parents were into it the whole game. But you know what? We had no run-ins with this coach this time. We beat him.
How did Jack do? Little Jack.
Oh, he's an on-base machine.
Oh, he is so amazing, isn't
on-base machine.
This little kid, let me tell you, he's probably the same size as Emily, who's not 5 yet. And I'm telling you, every time this kid goes up to bat, he hits the ball. He's always on base.
Just slap the ball
everywhere. He's a contact hitting machine. The analytics guys would hate him.
Oh, he's so analytic at 7.
Oh yeah, the exit velocity isn't where the analysts would say it wants to be, but he's an on-base machine. And
15 mile per hour finding the hole.
That's right. That's exactly what it is, because nobody can make a play on it. These kids aren't skill level enough to scoop up a ball with their bare hand and then get him at first base. They just can't do it. They're defenseless. So
he's the cutest thing, and he gets on base almost every single time he's at bat. He's amazing.
He's a good little player. And
by the way, he tucked his shirt in.
He does tuck his shirt. We have. I'm telling you, we have.
Do you want to adopt him?
Will should have been born in northern states that had hockey readily available, because I think that would be his sport. He's got to have that constant action. That's why he wants to play soccer again. Like a sport like baseball, just with his attention span or his disinterest, like it doesn't.
Is he picking flowers or?
Oh, he ate dirt tonight. And I'm not kidding, sir. He ate dirt tonight. One of the players' dads told me, he's like, your son was eating dirt out there in the edge of right field. I'm like, I'm not surprised.
It's good protein.
Well, if there's any bugs in it, I guess.
Get some of those worms in there.
But yeah, so we're gonna finish up here pretty soon. But I don't know if you want me to call you back after I'm done. I can certainly try to, but we're gonna wrap it up here in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Sure. I'm going to probably veg out playing my game for a little bit.
Okay.
You may call me anytime. Elliot, good to talk to you.
You too, Sarah.
I hope everything's going good.
It's A-okay.
A-okay. You survived.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that you're in sales. Welcome to the team.
Oh. Can you say that word on this show?
Keep in mind, any of your coworkers could potentially listen to this. I don't know.
I love my job and my company, and I had a really good trip. I have to be up and out the door by 6:45 tomorrow.
Ooh, that's early.
You like that? Okay, I'll call you in a bit.
I'll be home at 6:00 tomorrow night. Have my wine ready.
I opened a couple bottles of it last night.
Hopefully not the ones that said no on the back of the Post-it note.
Oh, you wrote on them?
Oh my God, I'll kill you.
I have not touched your wine.
So we talked about this tonight, Sarah. I told him to open them so that they could breathe a little bit, so that they'll taste amazing when you get home.
If you read the note upside down, it says on. That still means no. Don't open.
Oh, I thought it meant let's get it on. So open it. All right, I'll call you later.
All right, love you.
All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that's what a rare.
What a treat!
Holy shit, she participated. I thought that if once she learned that she was on the show even live, I thought she would just hang up. I thought she would just hang up. What a good sport! Wow. Yeah, that was fun to participate in. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, the baseball portion of this is kind of over, Elliot. We'll spend a few minutes talking about another subject here. Yep. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody, when you're not listening to us live, you can check us out on teamarivalspodcast.com. Elliot, Pete has the list memorized, but you can find it. You know what? Just about you
can find us anywhere,
any podcast platform,
services, Apple, SoundCloud, Spotify,
Radio Public, Stitcher,
all of it,
exactly. Amazon. So, we're on Amazon, on Audible, right. Amazon Podcast right now. We're available on that one too. Thank you, Pete, for doing all the behind the scenes work to get us set up on those platforms. But yeah, just about anywhere. You just search Team of Rivals Podcast, you can find us. Follow us on Facebook. Those of you who are watching live right now, share us around, goddammit. You don't do it enough, and I want you to, especially you.
Smash the like button on YouTube. YouTube's one of the channels that we probably should be growing.
We have not put energy or effort behind YouTube, but I think that's probably the way forward. I see Facebook as something that's winding down.
We have one comment on YouTube tonight from a buddy of mine, and all he put was 69.
You know what that deserves?
Oh, says it!
Yeah. Right. There we go.
I love it.
Okay, so great. So you can find us on all of those platforms. Follow us on Facebook. Just search Team of Rivals Podcast. You follow us on Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Team of Rivals Podcast. All of that. You know what? Share us around. And those of you that are listening and catch us live, if you're not downloading this on your phone, just go on your podcast app. Most of you use Apple. It's where most of our downloads come from. Go to the podcast app. It's right there on your iPhone. Subscribe to our show. You can set it to only keep the most recent episode. You don't have to download everything, but it really helps us out. We'd appreciate it. One. That's right. And on there, you can give us a rating. Any of your podcast app, you can give us a rating. You can go to ratemypodcast.com and just leave us a 5-star review. If you don't, I'm probably going to know who you are, and we'll call you out. 5-star review. I need positive reinforcement. So I need praise just hurled my way. That would help. A lot. Life is tough. We need to hear positive things about ourselves every once in a while. Speaking of positive things, though, Elliot,
hit me with it.
Bad Batch. That's the thing right now. I know there's other little ancillary Star Wars news that's happening, but the big thing is the Bad Batch, right? So we had another episode that dropped on Friday. Tuesday was the premiere. We talked about that. We discussed that one already. I think a solid intro to the series.
Absolutely.
You expect that if we hear it's 14 episode season, 14 to 16 episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
The first one was, I think what the rumor is now that it was actually 2 episodes. They just went ahead and put them all together and made a 70-minute intro show, which is awesome.
I think that's what they needed.
Yeah.
It was because on a new season, doing something that's like 28 minutes long would just feel like not enough substance for a new series. So I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah, and they kicked off, I think, the Rebels show with a longer introduction, and they did season 2 longer and all that stuff, and that's a smart thing to do, and I think they figured out that formula. Episode 2 called back a little bit to an episode of the Clone Wars. I don't even remember what season it was. The clone defector called Cut, right? So, he had left the ranks and went off on his own and started a life. And so we saw him again in the Bad Batch, and I knew exactly who it was. As soon as they landed on that little farm, I'm like, oh, shit, I know exactly what this is. And so they went back there. And so, it's one of those episodes. It wasn't like great. I've only watched it once. There was nothing too memorable about this, but as in the world of Dave Filoni,
I think what it's setting up is the relationship between Omega.
Yes,
and
the
character.
Yeah, absolutely. This is character development. This is what this kind of thing is. It's kind of bringing it along. Sam Smith asks, does he need to watch Clone Wars before the Bad Batch? Abso-freaking-lutely, you should. You can't jump into the Bad Batch. And I tell you what, man, Elliot, I mean, the thing is, like you could probably get away with watching the last season of the Clone Wars. Like you could watch the Siege of Mandalore and go into the I'm sorry, not season, but you could watch the Bad Batch thing and maybe get by, but you won't appreciate some of the things they've done over the long term. So
I think if you started maybe in season 5 of Clone Wars, I don't think you have to watch all 7 seasons, but I think if you started with season 5, and then you watch that, and then for kind of some context, I would watch all 4 seasons of Rebels.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
Because it is some of the best storytelling.
It is. I agree. I totally agree. And I hate to tell anybody that because it sounds like a lot of stuff to do.
It's not.
But you will enjoy the Clone Wars so much more, especially season 7, if you've watched the whole thing. And the thing is, I don't think you necessarily have to watch that Clone Wars movie that launched the whole series, that 2-hour thing. But it helps if you do that, great. But gosh, you appreciate the some of the story arcs in the later seasons of the Clone Wars so much more if you've watched the whole thing. And
there's a lot of context for Mandalorian. In the Clone Wars.
Absolutely, and it's carried into the series. To your point, right? I mean, the things that make sense to us in the show The Mandalorian were the seeds were planted in the Clone Wars.
And some of the new stuff that's going to be coming out, especially with Obi-Wan, I'm sure, and then most certainly with the Ahsoka TV show.
The Ahsoka TV show is the one. I mean, those two are top of my list of things I'm most anticipating to watch. And you're right, Elliot. I mean, so much context is filled in, and that the way the Clone Wars ended, like I'm so glad that I watched all of it before that because I wouldn't have appreciated it as much otherwise. So, Sam, it's a tall ask, but if you're going to watch the Bad Batch, goddamn, gut it out through the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars. Just gut it out, just knock it out, man. And seasons 3 through 7 are fantastic. Yes, there are arcs there that are brutal to get through, but this is my point I was making earlier, Elliot. Like nothing in the world of Filoni goes to waste. And I'll say this:
the droid episode.
The droid. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That 4-episode arc where it was nothing but astromech droids and that stupid little Bieber Gascon, that frog-like guy. Brutal 4-episode arc. Wasn't that interesting? But you saw those droids at the end of the Clone Wars, right? Oh, shit, sorry, I spoiled it for you. But I mean, he put them there, and you knew who they were, and you appreciated seeing them, even though you hated that arc.
Right.
So it was awesome.
Payoff was the best.
It was. I mean, they played a key role in how it all ended, and so the arc where they were introduced, you hated it, but you're like, I'm glad it actually happened now.
Why am I watching this?
Right. And I love how he put that arc right in the middle of like Maul's return. Like, Maul was returning again to the series. He'd already been reintroduced to the series, but he had that 4-story Astromech arc, and then the one right after that, was Maul and his brother returning to action. So it was like, Jesus, really? Did you have to stick this in the middle of it? But in the world of Filoni, it all pays off. So I think this one will too. This episode wasn't my favorite Star Wars animated show. But I think it'll serve a purpose later. If you believe kind of how Dave, and he's overseeing the story and all this stuff, although he's not directly involved like he had been, it'll mean something later.
He's probably had this thing written for a while.
Yeah, it'll mean something later. So it'll pay off. So you got to get through a few of these. And I think we're going to have in a 14 to 16 episode season, we're going to have at least 4 or 5 episodes. They're going to be like, this wasn't that great, and it's going to pay off later.
Yeah. So are you watching with the kids on this one too?
I can't wrangle in Sam enough to, if I can't watch it and he's got free time, he'll bypass his dad and just do it. Okay. He's not sentimental enough. He's not like Pete is with his son, where he'll go a month without watching something. I'm like, how the hell are you doing this? This is annoying. Because he can't, and credit to him, right? He's got way more patience than I do. That's why I threatened him on the Bad Batch open, right? So I threatened his life. Don't you dare show up on Thursday saying I can't talk about it yet because I'm not watching it with my son until Sunday. Like, well, that's too bad. Then you know what? I'll just log you out of the call right now, and we're going to talk about it. But no, I haven't been watching it in sync with my oldest that's in the house now, because he has no sentimental value about watching things like this with his dad. So didn't care.
He like gets on like the big kick and he'll watch a ton of it, and then he's like, okay, and then he'll probably come back to it like 2 months later and be like, I want to watch it again.
You know what he does constantly through the Disney Plus app. He watches Clone Wars episodes all the time, old
That's
seasons,
good.
everything. He's constantly doing that kind of stuff. So he's totally into it. He totally gets it, and so this episode was brought back something from the Clone Wars yet again. Yeah. And so, oh, by the way, Sam, we never fully, because Elliot alluded to it here, you got to watch Rebels too.
Yeah.
So we got a tall order for you, buddy. You got to watch Clone Wars, Rebels, and I think that there really is no way to bypass. There is no short circuit to get that. If to truly enjoy it, I think you got to kind of have been invested in it.
Yeah, and if you've watched Mandalorian, it's going to add more context to
absolutely
what's happening there, and then it's going to add more once the Ahsoka show comes out. I believe that's later this year.
You know what, Elliot? To your point, like nobody that saw Bo-Katan arrive in Episode 5 of Mandalorian thought it was that big of a deal,
except for everybody,
except for people that had watched the Clone Wars and Rebels and knew, right? So
which was a huge deal.
It was a huge deal. So yeah, all of that stuff is, I don't know, it's great. I'm glad they're doing this. I'm glad they've figured out some kind of spinoff to the Clone Wars. It was so successful, and thank God that, Disney decided to end everything from the prequel trilogy era. Like they wanted to move forward. They cut everything off. And once that shit hit Netflix, man, it is like eye opening, and they were able to bring everything back. And Dave got to finish his last season of the Clone Wars, and there's a spinoff series dedicated to it, which adds total context and all kinds of storylines and everything else that happened during that era between Revenge of the Sith and the Rebellion. There's a lot of stuff to be told there still. So it's great they're doing it.
Agree. No.
All right, man.
And
I think that's
until tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep. New episode drops tomorrow. I'm sure that my son will watch it at like 6 a.m. while I'm trying to get ready, and I'll have to watch it by myself.
There you go.
Whatever. I'm over it. He's over it. So we're on to the next day. Hopefully Pete is back with us next week. But
and if you guys didn't see, go on to our YouTube channel. He did put a video up. Had some comments for everybody. So I didn't watch it yet. It's only a couple minutes long. So go on and catch that. So
Oh, actually, I have to watch it myself. I had not. I've been occupied all day long, but we're good. All right. So for those of you who joined us live tonight, again, thanks for participating in the chat. Sometimes it's hard to follow that stuff when guys and I are engaged. We don't have our roles figured out to where somebody's constantly watching it. We need to do a better job. So I'll put that on Elliot from now on. But thank you so much for joining us, those that did, and those that are listening on the audio version. Hey, look, leave us a rating. Leave us a 5-star, man. We love that stuff. Makes us feel better about ourselves. We all have low self-esteem. That's why we do this. And about done with this live show, man. I like to go back to the days of easygoing audio where we can screw up, stop it, and then continue later. But until next week, you know what? We love y'all so much. Pete will be back, so don't worry. The intros will be much better once he's back. Outros will still be a mess because he still somehow wants to have me do that. Catch us on every podcast app you can possibly imagine. We're out there everywhere. TeamRivalsPodcast.com. That's our website. We are proud members of the Gateway City Sports Group. And check out all of their content, too. They put out a lot of stuff. Turning 2 Podcasts is on fire. That's with @Dylan Dinger, if you follow him on Twitter, and Tito Rivera. Derek King Sports Show drops live every Wednesday morning on Facebook. You can catch Moose Michaels, his 2 for 3 podcast. And we're adding, why was I going to forget this? An old solo show that I did that I haven't done for several months called In the Cards. Done through In the Zone Network. That's being picked up by my good friend Arlington Lane. He's going to pick that up, and it's going to be part of Gateway City Sports and In the Zone Network. It's called In the Cards. If you follow him on Twitter, @InTheCardsPod. Check it out. He's bringing that show back. I couldn't be happier. It couldn't have gone to a better host. So he wanted to get back into baseball. He does a lot of football content, but he's a big Cardinal fan. So that's going to be coming back too, and it'll be part of our Gateway City Sports Network. That's enough for tonight, folks. We love you all so much. We'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye, everyone.